Hey now everybody, Jamie here, and today's video is going to be the first installment of a series that I'm going to do going forward, talking about the games that I love to play with my family. Every other Saturday night, my family gets together, my in-laws and my wife and myself, and we sit down around the dinner table and we play games all evening. And I just want to feature some of the games that we play and have a great time with. Now, granted, there aren't any kids that come to play at our game night, but all of the games that we play can be played with children and are also really fun for adults as well. So let's get on with a video about family games. Why first? This first one on the list is one that was introduced to me by my very good friend Dan King, the Game Boy Geek. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. You should go check it out now. And I'm so happy that he showed this game to me because I absolutely love it. Now, what this game is it's got a little board with a track on it. If you go forward, you get positive points. You go backwards, you get negative points. Everybody's going to be dealt hands of cards that have modifiers on them. +1, +2, +3, -1, -2, -3. And each round is played out in a series of turns where everybody is going to play a card on somebody else, or themselves actually. And then everybody reveals those cards, sums up whatever they got, and moves their pawn forward or backwards based on that. Now, how you're going to score points every turn is, if you're in second place, you score points. That's why it's called Why First. Second place is always the winner here. And of course, if you're negative, you'll lose points if you're in second place. And this is going to go on for a series of rounds. And at the end of the game, the player with the second highest score is going to be the winner of the game. Now, this is such a weird game because I've never played a game where you're shooting for second place. And that's what's so cool about it, because you really have to try to engineer yourself in second place all the time. And it is way harder than you think. And one of the things I actually really dig about it is it feels very chaotic when you're playing it. But the thing is that you always feel like you have control. And actually, I feel like you have more of a feeling of control than you actually have, which is really fun because every round I'm like, all right, how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to work this out? How am I going to get in second place? It's interesting because if you play a lot of cards on yourself to go further on the track, you're likely to score more points if you're in second place, but the further down the track you get, the harder it is to maintain second place. It's harder to get people beyond you if you surpass them. So there is strategy to this game. There is a lot of randomness to this game, and there's a lot of basically take that in this game because you're always trying to move people forward and backwards. It's a wonderful game, and it's so simple. It takes a minute to teach it, and it plays in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the number of players you have, and it plays a really high player count as well. This one, I've never heard of it before Dan showed this one to me, and I'm so happy he did because Why First is a terrific family game, and we love playing it in my house. The Bottle Imp. Trick-taking games are a staple at my family game night. We love trick-taking games, and that's mostly because my in-laws they played trick-taking games for their whole lives, and only now in this new age of hobby board gaming, they started playing games with me, and I'm like, okay, they like trick-taking games, I'm going to bring some trick-taking games, and the newer ones have so many interesting new rules and hooks to them, and the Bottle Imp is one of my favorite of all time. Now, it's a basic trick-taking game. Like any other game, you have a hand of cards, the leader plays a card, and everybody has to play a card that follows the suit of the leader. If they can't, they play whatever card they want, but they're not going to be able to take the trick. The person who plays the highest card in suit is going to take the trick, just like any other trick-taking game. But the hook comes in with the Bottle Imp. In the middle of the table, there's a little bottle meeple, and underneath it is a card that has a number on it. It starts at 19. That's the cost of the bottle. If anybody ever plays a card that is lower than the cost of the bottle, the highest number of everybody who played lower is going to take the bottle and the trick. Now you have the bottle. The thing is, you don't want to end the round with the bottle because everybody's going to score points for all the tricks they took. Each card has different values. But if you have the bottle, you're going to score nothing. As a matter of fact, you're going to score negative points. So you want that bottle out of your possession by the end. There is a ton of strategy to this trick-taking game. It's so fantastic because if you're not playing well, you could be forced to take that bottle at a time that you don't want it. Or you could take it early knowing that someone else is going to take it away from you. And you have to engineer getting rid of those cards that are sure to take the bottle You know, when you have to play offsuit and things, there's tons of different things you could do in this game, tons of strategy to it, a lot of card counting and figuring out what other people have in their hands, what you have in your hand, and how you're going to use it best, and make sure that you never get that bottle imp, but you're also trying to get the best tricks too with the most points in them. I absolutely love Bottle Imp. I think it's a fantastic trick-taking game, and I recommend that anybody who loves trick-taking game and hasn't tried this one, go get it and try it. You'll love it. Dead Man's Draw. This is a game that's so weird because when I first saw it, I was like, this ain't gonna be any good. There's no way. And boy, when I played it, I was wrong. I love this game. Basically how this game operates is there's a deck of cards and there's a whole bunch of suits on all of these cards, and each suit does a different thing. It's a different ability that's going to be triggered when you draw it. On your turn, you flip a card off of the deck, do the ability of the card. And then you choose if you're going to push your luck, go on and draw another card and let it happen, or if you're going to stop and collect all those cards. Each card has a number on them, and you're trying to get the highest value of each suit to score points with. The thing is, if you ever draw the same card that you've already drawn this round, you bust and all the cards go away. No points for this turn. And this is great because those abilities really let you try to engineer getting those cards, or a lot of times they'll screw you up too. Everybody has all their cards out in front of you. You get a sword, you can steal somebody else's card. There's a cannon, destroys somebody else's card. You can swap cards around. There's bad ones like the Kraken that makes you draw 2 cards forcibly. You can't decide not to, you just got to draw them and hope that you don't bust. What I love about this game is that it feels the closest I've felt to playing a casino game with hobby board game mechanisms and sensibilities going on in it, right? Like each card has a power that triggers and it lets you affect the board state in some capacity. So there is strategy to how you use these cards when they come up. There's tons of them too. There's all kinds of cards that do all kinds of different things, but it's not really that hard to keep them in your mind. You play the game once and you kind of remember all the abilities that happen, and I play it 2 or 3 times. You'll never even need the player aid ever again. Simple game. Awesome game, feels like blackjack with the flipping and the hit me and the busts but the abilities give you strategy. Dead Man's Draw is such a great game. Love it so much. Please check out Dead Man's Draw. I think you're gonna dig it. PINA PIRATA. Now this one is clearly the simplest game on this list. It is dirt simple, but we love it for some reason. The game has a big deck of cards, and each card has 2 suits on it. The suits are things like, lions and rats and alligators and walrus and that kind of stuff. You're going to take one card, flip it off the top. And when your turn comes up, you have to play a card from your hand that matches one of the suits out on the table. And you're trying to run your cards out of your hand. Simple. That's it, right? Well, there's a hook to the game. There's a giant stack of tiles, and each one of those tiles has a different rule on it. At the beginning of the game, you pick a couple of them, you put them in the game, and there's extra rules added. Every time somebody wins a round, they draw a couple of them, and they look at them, and they decide what new rule they're going to add to the game. And this compounds. Round after round after round, more rules are being added until it gets so confusing and so wacky and weird that you just don't know what you're doing anymore. As a matter of fact, the rulebook even has in the back under the heading end game conditions, one of them is the game got too confusing and you decided to quit, which I think is kind of funny. It's a little tongue-in-cheek rule in there, but it's true because the fun of this game isn't that there's any strategy, because there isn't that much strategy involved. It's the fun of trying to deal with all of this randomness and the little bit of take that can happen. Because some of these rules that are added are like, anytime a walrus is played, it's wild. Anytime an alligator is played, you skip the next person's turn. Anytime a penguin is played, you reverse the order. Stuff like that. And you get into a lot of these weird chains because the rules interact strangely. And it's just a fun experience to play. If you have kids or grandparents or anybody in between, this game will just be a game to play right after Thanksgiving dinner. I really enjoy this game. We play it every single week. My wife loves it and begs to play it every week just because it's silly. And one of the funny things about this one is it was designed by Donald X. Vaccarino, who designed Dominion, one of the legendary games. He ushered in the concept of deck building in a board game or in a card game. And here he's designing this silly little game that we're having such a ton of fun with. So check out PINA PIRATA. It's a good one. Can't Stop. Now, the last one on the list is a game by Sid Sackson. This guy is a legendary game designer, did most of his work in the 1970s and 80s, and he was just a genius at game design. And this one is a push your luck dice game that every single person on this earth should try. This one is mine is weird. It's got a theme of like, I don't know, it's a stop sign with traffic cones and dice. I don't know what the theme means. I've seen versions that have mountain climbers on it, which makes a little more sense. The point of the game is that you're trying to roll the dice, put your traffic cones on the columns, and move them up the columns to get to the top. If anybody ever gets to the top on 3 of their traffic cones, they're the winner of the game. Now, how this works is you roll the dice and you pair them up and add the values together, and that's where you get to put your traffic cones out. If you keep rolling the dice and you roll those same numbers, you can move those traffic cones up. And if you ever roll something where you can't move one of your own things, you bust and you lose all of your progress for the turn. Push your luck game. Now, this game is great. It's all about probabilities, and it's all about push your luck with those probabilities. It's such a pleasurable game to play. And despite the fact that I don't understand the theme, I do like the components. I like the big red stop sign board. I like all the traffic cones and the fun of just chucking those dice. And you're like, the name is perfect. Can't stop, because boy, do I want to keep going. I just can't stop myself from rolling those dice. One more perfect roll and I'm going to win this game. Boom, the whole thing's gone. All my traffic cones are off the board and I'm like, oh, I just failed. I just went one too far. Terrific game. Sid Sackson, he knows mathematics, he knows game design, and he really designed a winner here. It's a classic game that everybody should try. So check out Can't Stop. All right, gang, well, that is the end of part 1 of my family game night feature. I'm going to continue to do this because we've played tons of family games over the years, and I got lots of them to talk about. Some we love, some we don't love so much. So I'm going to keep doing these lists going forward. Anytime we discover some brand new games, I'll bring them to you and let you know how our family's doing with these games. So until next time, have a good one, everybody.
Thanks so much, everybody. If you've enjoyed this video, please do us a giant favor by subscribing to the channel and clicking that wacky bell icon. If you're into board games, miniatures games, role-playing games, we have a bunch of audio podcasts you might enjoy. You can find those at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes and Stitcher.